But nothing makes sense on this crash in D.C. A Black Hawk helicopter crashing into that American Eagle flight coming into Dulles. You can see on your screen here where the crash happens. It's absolutely horrific. So what is going on here? When you look at this crash, you've got to ask yourself, this is an absolute nightmare. Now, I have gone through this. I have looked at this, and I have come up with some scenarios on all of this. One of this is the very, very strange flight pattern that has happened here. If you look at the flight pattern that happened with this plane, and you look at the video of it, it makes some very odd movements before this flight actually crashes into the American Eagle flight. Also, to this, I want to show you video of now I got to get it here, and I blew this for you. This is video of the altitude. So we're going to look at all of this. I'm going to break it down for you very quickly and easily, and the sudden descent in altitude down to 400 feet, as you see there. This is a situation that is not good. Not good at all. So a lot of strange things happening here, and we're going to break it down for you. Before we do that, when we look at the strange movements, the flight pattern of this flight, when we look at the slight altitude drop, when we listen to the audio of air traffic control telling this plane to return to base, telling the helicopter, return to base, all of that raises real suspicions to me that I'm going to put my number one suspicions on the pilot of the chopper. All speculation, but speculation based off of very odd evidence that we're seeing here throughout this. So before we get into all of that, folks, I want to tell you about my friends over at the Wellness Company. They're doing such a good job keeping people safe. This is the prescription medication kit. You need to have one of these on hand. I know you got a first aid kit, but this is about prescription medications. You've got 8 very important prescription medications in here, including amoxicillin, other antibiotics, antiparasitics in here as well. This is the handy dandy guidebook for you, and I would urge you to get one of these. It may save your life. All right, twc.health/grant. I know you got food, water, ammunition, but do you have prescription medications? If you don't, you're not fully prepared. twc.health/grant. Use that promo code GRANT for 10% off, and we're grateful for their support of this program. All right, let's go through this, okay, folks? And let's go through it one by one. When you look at the video here, okay, when you look at the video of what was happening, this is the best video I have of this crash, and you can see the helicopter crashes into that plane as it's coming into Dulles. Now, the plane was on final approach. There's no way a helicopter is not going to see that plane. People are talking about night vision goggles. I don't buy it. What I do go back to is the situation of this plane coming in and making some very odd movements. This is the plane taking off, and you can see right here there's a first near crash. Now, we don't know the altitude there. From what I've seen, it's about 1,000 feet. Here comes another plane. And then this helicopter, the orange plane there is the helicopter, will make a couple weird zigzags as it goes down the Potomac. That move right there that you see before it comes down the Potomac, and then ultimately crashes into that American Eagle flight that is on final approach. You see the one plane taking off there, and then as it comes in here, this is where it gets bad. And again, you see the zigzags here that to me don't make a lot of sense. Now, why is the plane zigzagging, the helicopter zigzagging? Why did the helicopter descend from 1,000 feet, okay, to to literally 800 feet. This is the data from the helicopter. And I've gone through it. You can see here it starts at 1,100 feet, okay? And as we move through it, it descends down to 1,600 feet and all the way down here, 400 feet. Now, that is way too low for this Black Hawk to be flying. And if you back this data up that I saved, you will see here that it goes from 800 feet at 42 minutes past the hour and 47 seconds. And in about 30 seconds, it will drop to that 400 feet level in 30 seconds. That doesn't make sense to me. So now I'm asking myself, was this a suicide mission? Was this a computer hack? Did the helicopter have a mechanical malfunction? I don't believe this is on the American Eagle pilot. I don't think there's anything that the American Eagle pilot could have done. And then you add into this recording of the audio of the plane being told to return back to base. So listen to this, folks.
503000, American 3130. Lucy 5347, go around, climb, maintain 3000, flight.
Now they're going to ask the helicopter, okay, to return to base.
1000, heading, go around 3000, Blue Streak 5347. Blackjack 3, can you return to base?
No answer.
Blackjack 3, proceed directly to Glebe. I need you to land. I need you to land immediately. Can you go to Dulles for a few minutes?
No answer.
7, proceed due westbound. Contact Dulles Tower 120.1.
I will tell you, that to me is the most bizarre, because air traffic control, or that may be the radio operator from the military base where the helicopter originated from, it's not saying climb altitude to avoid the plane. It's not saying move starboard or port or go right or left. It's not saying, do you see the plane? It's saying return to base. Return to base. That is not normal for a Black Hawk helicopter and the pilot to be told, I need you to return to base. Then ultimately, no response, land at Dulles for a few minutes. Do you want to hear it again? Because to me, this is the most troubling of all.
347. Blackjack 3, can you return to base? Blackjack 3, proceed directly to Glebe. I need you to land. I need you to land immediately. Can you go to Dulles for a few minutes?
Now, folks, combine that with the altitude change, right? The altitude literally changes from 1,100 feet, 800 feet, 700 feet, 600 feet, ultimately to a steep drop to 400 feet. And I'm told they crashed about 200 feet, all within 30 seconds right before the crash, as if the helicopter aimed for the plane. Now, I can't tell you that the helicopter aimed for the plane. I don't know that. But I do have common sense, and common sense will tell you nothing adds up here on all of this. Nothing adds up at all. So I'm sure all this will play out in the mainstream media. I hope they investigate. You're going to have military investigators, I would imagine, investigating this as well. And so as they do, these are questions that are going to have to be answered. So as I look at it, I want to know who was in the helicopter. Who are the pilots? What is their background? Who were they carrying? Now, I know there were 3 people in the helicopter. We're told it's a training mission. That's what the Air Force says. The Army says, training mission. Who are those people? Who was in the plane? I want to know. Now, we know there were a whole contingent of Russian figure skaters, okay? that raises some suspicion to me. Not a lot, but you had Russians on that plane. Was there one of them that would be a target? I don't necessarily think that if you're going to try to take out one or two targets, you take out an entire plane. So I somewhat throw that aside, but it does have to be investigated. Was there a mechanical failure of some sort? Is that why the helicopter either lost power? Was the pilot not responding because he was dealing with a mechanical situation? We don't have a black box inside these Black Hawk helicopters because they don't build them with black boxes. I'm going to call today on this podcast and on the Real America's Voice show, and I'm going to have a former Colonel Black Hawk pilot who is also going to call for when these flights are flying in the United States, training missions, they need to have a black box, a voice recorder. You want to send them overseas into combat, you can disable it. I get it. We don't want our enemies to have any information if, God forbid, they were shot down. But in the United States, we need voice recorders because without it, we may never know what was going through their mind. One Black Hawk pilot told me there have been too many crashes like this that are completely unexplainable, almost leading me to believe that it could be the possibility of suicide along the way of many of these unexplained Black Hawk crashes, but we don't know because they don't have the voice data recorders. You know what else they don't have? They don't have midair collision avoidance. Now, a Black Hawk wouldn't have that because when you're flying in combat and you got 5, 6, 8, 10 Black Hawks flying at a low level all next to each other, the collision avoidance would be going off nonstop. So I understand why they don't have that. All of this, again, needs to be fully investigated. That's an understatement. But I want to know who's on the helicopter, who's on the plane, and then, of course, air traffic control. Was this, excuse me, was this an air traffic control problem? I actually do not believe that it was. Let me go back and play for you some more of the air traffic. This is some of it.
120.1.
No, that's not it. Hold on. I got a lot going on here, folks, and we're going to try to get it for you. This is as they're starting to pull bodies out.
Please, I want to take one. You can take two, please.
Sure, I'm at Bravo 49, sir.
Copy.
EMS branch from Airport Firepoint 378.
Go ahead.
Per our conversation earlier, I just spoke with Command Center out here on the water. They advised, as far as they know, they have one body that was taken to D.C. That is all they know so far. They'll confirm and get back with you.
Okay. Got it, thank you.
May I meet up with you, please? I want to take one. You can take two, please.
Sure, I'm at Bravo 49, sir.
Copy.
EMS branch from Airport Firepoint 378.
Go ahead.
Per our conversation earlier, I just spoke with Command Center out here on the water. They advised, as far as they know, they have one body that was taken to D.C. That is all they know so far. They'll confirm and get back with you.
Okay. Got it, thank you.
May I meet up with you, please? I want to take one. You can take two, please.
Well, they now have at least 27. That number continues to climb. There were 67 people on board the plane, I believe. You had the 3 helicopter service members. One of them has been found, I am told. Now, I'm going to play some of CNN's coverage. I don't normally like CNN, but I will tell you they had good coverage last night. They had some decent experts on, and we'll play and go through some of their expert opinion of what happened. But before we do that, I want to tell you about my friends over at get21now.com. This is about 21% annualized interest on your investment money paid out monthly. So just 2 days ago, I got my monthly check from NFN8. That's the name of the company. Website get21now.com. Every month, like I think it's the 28th or 29th of the month, I get a check deposited into my bank account like clockwork every month. And that is that interest payment on my investment that's paid out monthly. It's mailbox money, okay? Only it's electronically directed into my account. This is about Bitcoin mining. You invest in the mining equipment, okay? And you lease it back to them. They mine it. They take care of it. They fix it. They maintain it. You don't have to do anything, All right. I mean, nothing. They sell the Bitcoin the next day. And for all of that, you get paid 21% on your money. You lock into that contractually, which makes this such an attractive investment. For me, I love it. How much is right for you? You got to talk to them about it. I do trust them. I've talked to them and been with them a lot. Corey, the guy who'll talk to you about it, has been a great guy. And he enjoys talking with all of you Stinchfield's Army folks as well. So go to get21now.com, fill out the form. They'll get right back to you. Answer their call, take their call. You're not going to regret it. This is about putting cash money in your pocket and sitting back and watching it flow, baby. That's the best thing of all. Get21now.com. That is get21now.com. All right. So I told you I'd play you some of CNN's coverage of all of this. This is some of it.
If you can take me live for a second, I can sort of demonstrate with my hands what the crews were and were not able to see. And so the helicopter, the Black Hawk helicopter, appeared to be coming from the right of the commercial flight that was descending into runway 33. It's a particularly perilous situation for pilots because they can often not see very well below them, as helicopter crews are often looking at the ground, flying primarily in reference to the ground, especially in a very critical phase of flying as a crew is descending, making that final critical approach to landing. They are focused primarily on the runway and primarily on their instruments. They're not necessarily looking left and right, scanning for other traffic. This may be something where the crew simply just did not have the ability to see the helicopter and the situation unfolding in front of them. This is something that aviation experts have warned me about over and over since the start of 2023 when we saw these commercial flight near collisions take off in the United States. Many of them became under the watchful eye of the National Transportation Safety Board and were the result of very sweeping probes. Those situations never involved an actual collision. What we are seeing now is the result of the warnings.
It very much is the worst case scenario.
It sure is. And so interesting coverage from there. I just don't believe the lack of visual contact. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think these are highly trained pilots. You have Black Hawk helicopters that fly up and down the Potomac River nonstop. I mean, just look at the video. This is from a plane coming out of Reagan. Those are Black Hawks. Low level flying down the Potomac not long ago. This is commonplace. Now, even at night, it's commonplace. So to tell me that the plane somehow blended in with the city lights, night vision goggles didn't work. These pilots were seasoned. And we're told the pilot on board that was flying the plane and his co-pilot that was flying the helicopter, that was flying the helicopter was not someone new. Yes, it was a so-called training flight, but it was not someone new. It was somebody well-seasoned, well-schooled, highly capable pilot. So, again, all this adds to the questions. Now, let me add this to the craziness. What if this was a computer hack? Quite possibly could have been. This is a press release I found on Lockheed Martin's site. I actually got it off social media, but it's from Lockheed Martin's site. Command an autonomous Black Hawk helicopter from 300 miles away. And it says here, how do you command a Black Hawk helicopter to perform a mission autonomously from 300 miles away? Well, they now have the ability to do this. The system acts fully independently. It's called the Matrix system, and you can fly these helicopters now autonomously. So was it the United States military somehow tried to take back control of the helicopter? Was the helicopter hacked? We've talked about large yachts being hacked by Chinese technology. We do know the ability to hack even planes. Could a Black Hawk be hacked? I don't know. But I'm not going to rule it out. That's for sure. In fact, I don't rule anything out. Now, President Trump talked about this. He just addressed the media today, and he went there. This is why I love this president. He wasted no time to bring up the issue of diversity, equity, and inclusion. Okay? Now, my blame tends to lie on the Black Hawk helicopter pilot, but it could be FAA problems. Do we have the best and brightest? President Trump says we do not. And so he used this incident right away to call out what Joe Biden had done when he was in office. Watch this.
Have more to say about that. I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in, and they want them, they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. This was in January 14th, so that was a week before I entered office. They put a big push to put diversity into the FAA's program. Then another article, the Federal Aviation Administration, this was before I got to office, recently, second term. The FAA is actively recruiting workers who suffer severe intellectual disabilities, psychiatric problems, and other mental and physical conditions under a diversity and inclusion hiring initiative spelled out on the agency's website. Can you imagine? These are people that are, I mean, actually, their lives are shortened because of the stress that they have. Brilliant people have to be in those positions, and their lives are actually shortened, very substantially shortened because of the stress, where you have many, many planes coming into one target, and you need a very special talent and a very special genius to be able to do it. Targeted disabilities are those disabilities that the federal government, as a matter of policy, has identified for special emphasis in recruitment and hiring. The FAA's website states they include hearing, vision, missing extremities, partial paralysis, complete paralysis, epilepsy, severe intellectual disability, psychiatric disability, and dwarfism all qualify for the position of a controller of airplanes pouring into our country,
Wait a second. Severe mental disability? You're going to make an air traffic controller? I remember when this story came out, when Joe Biden did this. We reported on it on this podcast on the Real America's Voice show. What are they doing? This is what I mean by diversity, equity, and inclusion. Not only does everything go to shit, it'll get you killed, man. And so, why are they putting this even in writing? And I think the worst part is severe mental illness. I don't care if a dwarf is an air traffic controller. I'm sure a dwarf could do this fine. I don't care if you have one arm, providing you use a mouse and get to everything. But mental illness? Thanks, but no thanks. That's the last guy I want being an air traffic controller.
Into a little spot, a little dot on the map, a little runway. The initiative is part of the FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan. Think of that. The initiative is part of the FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan, which says diversity is integral to achieving FAA's mission of ensuring safe and efficient travel. I don't think so. I think it's just the opposite. The FAA website shows that the agency's guidance on diversity hiring were last updated on March 23rd of 22. They wanted to make it even more so. And then I came in, and I assume maybe this is the reason. The FAA, which is overseen by Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a real winner. That guy's a real winner. Do you know how badly everything's run since he's run this Department of Transportation? He's a disaster. He was a disaster as a mayor. He ran his city into the ground, and he's a disaster now. He's just got a good line of bullshit. The Department of Transportation is government agency charged with regulating civil aviation. Well, he runs it, 45,000 people, and he's run it right into the ground with his...
He has. Talking about Pete Buttigieg, former transportation secretary. Now we got Secretary Duffy, who's much better. Can you imagine your first or second day on the job? You're now having to deal with a plane crash. You also have Department of Defense Secretary Hegseth, second day on the job, now dealing with a Black Hawk helicopter crash that caused the death of, 60, 70 people. Horrific tragedy. So the media was not happy with President Trump. Clearly, just listen to this.
Diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
Well, there you go. I mean, again, listen to the question. Here we go.
Diversity had something to do with this crash.
Because I have common sense, okay? And unfortunately, a lot of people don't.
It's true. Certainly not in government. Now, you can make the argument, is now the time to be talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion as we're consoling the family members of these people. You can make that argument, but President Trump doesn't need to be reelected again. He is on a mission to transform America back into greatness. And so this is a take no prisoners mentality. This is actually what we need from a leader right now. We need to not hold back, not be shy, not be afraid. You can't dance around issues. Come on out and say it like it is. So, of course, he'll be accused of politicizing an issue. I will accuse him of trying to solve an issue. And so, of course, the media is not going to be kind to him in this. But you know what? Who really cares? The man doesn't need to be reelected again, and the media has never, ever been kind to him. So with that, I'll play one more clip from CNN here.
The approach, I'm stumbling over my words here because this is just so staggering that there is a mid-air collision involving a commercial airliner. Commercial flights are equipped for ages with a system called TCAS, Traffic Collision Avoidance System. It tells the pilots in the cockpit how to avoid other airplanes nearby. It is a system that came about because of mid-air collisions with commercial airliners and small general aviation aircraft, commercial airliners, and helicopters. It tells the pilots, there's traffic ahead of you, climb now, descend now. This would be an incredible lining up of the holes in the Swiss cheese, which is the saying in aviation, the gaps in the safety chain in aviation that this happened. And now investigators have an incredible amount of work cut out for them to figure out how a commercial airliner in the United States in 2025, when the pilots are incredibly trained, the technology is incredibly sharp, collided with what is apparently a military or government helicopter. Nobody else uses the Black Hawk. It is really something else.
So the reality is it doesn't appear to be the American Eagle flight's fault in this. So before I move on, I want to play some clips from RFK Jr.'s hearing. Let's just review here, all right? We have a very steep altitude drop from 1,000 feet to 400, then 200 feet, and really going from 800 feet to 400 feet in a matter of 30 seconds before this Black Hawk crashes into the American Eagle flight. You've got the Black Hawk making some bizarre flight movements on its path down the Potomac River. And I mean some real bizarre zigzags. Doesn't make any sense. And then you've got that so telling audio that really makes you wonder here.
Blackjack 3, can you return to base? Blackjack 3, proceed directly to Glebe. I need you to land. I need you to land immediately. Can you go to Dulles for a few minutes? Austin 7, proceed due westbound. Contact Dulles Tower 120.1.
No response. I need you to land, return to base. You can't return to base. Go to Dulles, and no response. That's odd. everything stinks about this crash. It really, really does. So we'll see as investigators play it out. We're going to cover it on the Real America's Voice show tonight. You better believe it. It's very important that we do cover this. And I'm sure President Trump will be looking into it and demanding that we get some answers here through all of this. Folks, let me tell you about my friends over at energizedhealth.com. I'm going to be 56 next month. I feel like I'm in some of the best shape of my life. One of the reasons I feel like that is because of the Energized Health program. I am now hydrated at a cellular level, which means my skin has cleared up. I feel mentally sharper. I feel focused, and I have more energy. That's great news. But here's the physical aspect of all of this. I have lost body fat, okay? I've lost visceral fat, and I've gained muscle mass. This is like the holy grail here. How did I do it? Well, the Energized Health system is patent pending. The secret is in the science. It is well worked out and well studied, and they have literally tens of thousands of testimonials to prove this. So I want you to go to energizedhealth.com/grant for more information, how I lost 15 pounds in just 2 weeks and have now 6 months later kept it all off. energizedhealth.com/grant. Pay them a visit, learn about intercellular hydration, take your life back. If you got family members that love you like I do and you want to get healthy, you do it for them. God gives you one body. You better take care of it. energizedhealth.com. And this is for all ages, folks, and it's really not that hard. The diet's easy. I'm still eating many of the same foods. Workout was a breeze. And I was shocked at how easy this whole thing was. energizedhealth.com/grant. Pay them a visit today. All right. RFK Jr. On the hot seat, I guess. But I actually think he did such a tremendous, tremendous job. Let's start with this clip. We'll go through some of them.
My approach to administration, HHS, will be radical transparency. If members of this committee or other members of Congress want information, the doors are open. I've spent many years litigating against NIH and its sub-agencies. It's HHS and its sub-agencies, NIH, CDC, FDA, on FOIA issues, trying to get information that we, the taxpayers, paid for, and oftentimes getting back redacted copies after a year or 2 years of litigation. That should not be the case. And if Congress asks me for information, you will get it immediately.
So there you go. And transparency is what we want from this agency. Transparency is everything. Right, Bernie Sanders?
Last year, the insurance industry in this country made over $70 billion, while at the same time, 85 million Americans are uninsured or underinsured. Do you agree with me that the United States should join every other major country on earth and guarantee health care to all people as a human right? Yes? No?
Senator, I can't give you a yes or no answer to that question.
Health care a human right? Is health care a human right?
In the way that free speech is a human right,
yeah.
I would say it's different, because with free speech doesn't cost anybody anything, but in healthcare, if you smoke cigarettes for 20 years and you get cancer, you are now taking from the pool. Well, and so are you guaranteed the same right, or is there also a duty?
I'm sorry. I'd love to talk for an hour with you. We got a few minutes left here. All right. Every other country on earth says healthcare, whether you're poor or rich, young or old, is a human right. I'm not.
Well, I hate to break the news to Bernie Sanders, but healthcare is a human right in the United States of America. You walk into a hospital and you're bleeding, there's not a hospital in America that's going to turn you away when you tell them you can't pay. They will take you and they will worry about it later. You will get the care you need. Now, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. raises a great point. Do I need to pay higher insurance premiums to take care of your smoke-induced cancer because you decided you were going to be an idiot, or you drank all your life and now you need a liver transplant and you want that on me? That's not a human right. Now, Free speech doesn't cost anything. Neither does the Second Amendment, unless, of course, you live in a blue state where in order to exercise your Second Amendment rights, they charge you fees. Could you imagine if you needed a permit to exercise your right to free speech? Right? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. So nowhere in the Constitution is it written that health care is a human right, but we are all compassionate people, and doctors take an oath to save lives, which, by the way, it seems to me that after this COVID deal, they really went back on their oath. They're not critical thinkers, most doctors anyway. But in the end, they're going to save your life. They're going to do what they can to save you if you come in a case of an emergency. So Bernie Sanders is offline there. But how offline is Bernie Sanders? All you got to do is watch this situation with the onesie. This is the funniest thing I have ever seen. So this onesie, before I played it, I think it says unvaxxed and unafraid. It's a baby's onesie. And Bernie Sanders is beside himself over it.
One of them is titled Unvaxxed, Unafraid. Next one, and they're sold for $26 a piece, by the way.
Look at Elizabeth Warren's face, by the way, next to him. She's just aghast at these onesies.
Next one is no vax, no problem. Now, you're coming before this committee and you say you're pro-vaccine. Just want to ask some questions. And yet your organization is making money selling a child's product to parents for $26, which casts fundamental doubt on the usefulness of vaccines. Can you tell us now that you will, now that you are pro-vaccine, that you're going to have your organization take these products off the market?
Senator, I have no power over that organization. I'm not part of it. I resigned from the board.
Yeah, that was just a few months ago. You founded that. You certainly have power. You can make that call. Are you supportive of this?
I've had nothing to do with
leadership. Are you
leadership.
supportive of these onesies?
I'm supportive of vaccines.
Are you supportive of this clothing, which is militantly anti-vaccine?
I am supportive of vaccines.
Right.
I will. I want good science, and I want to protect.
But you will not tell the organization you founded not to continue selling that.
No, he won't. Why would he? It's a freaking T-shirt, Bernie Sanders. Come on, man. What are you? This is insanity. It's a onesie for a baby, unvaxxed, unafraid. And they're talking about the COVID vax, I'm sure. But I'll tell you this, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has got to say, yeah, I'm pro-vaccine. I would alter that to I'm pro-vaccines that are safe. I'm pro-safe vaccines. So I want to make sure all vaccines are safe when I become Health and Human Services Secretary. That's how I would have answered it. Maybe even that would have been too controversial for some of the senators. But we give our children 60, 70 vaccines over the course of their childhood. That seems to me to be too much putting into somebody's body. When a guy like me, again, mid-50s, I had 8, 10 vaccines? I feel like I'm doing pretty good because of Energized Health. There's a free plug for them. No, seriously, like we survive. Kids today are not surviving. So it's interesting. One of the biggest anti-COVID vaxxers is Aaron Rodgers, the great quarterback. He always goes on with his Pat McCaffrey guy, and he responded to all this.
Yeah, Red Dye's got RFK has already got his first win. Boom.
Well, it's first of many. I hope it's going to be interesting to see what happens. What I do want to watch is I want to watch his confirmation hearing and just see who tries to fuck with him. Like, please, somebody try and get after him and just watch him absolutely mop the floor with any of these senators. So you better come ready, senators. Come ready and try and see if you can pull one over on my boy Bobby, because Bobby's a fucking smart dude. And no notes off the cuff can handle his own pretty well. So,
it is amazing. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., for whatever you think about him, seems to know more about this stuff than many doctors do. Right? And Aaron Rodgers wanted to see the lunatics come after him. Well, here's one from Nevada.
You keep citing the Trump administration and you're just going to follow what they say. Is that what you're doing? You're just a rubber stamp for them in this position? So anybody, so it doesn't matter that you're before us. It could be anybody coming before us as long as they're a rubber stamp for this administration and disregarding your beliefs and what you think. I guess my question to you is, if it really is fundamental to what you believe, how do you live with that? How do you address those issues as you're moving forward, knowing that it's going to harm Americans? Yeah.
You want me to answer the question?
No, I'm asking you.
Okay, President Trump has asked me to end the chronic disease epidemic and make America healthy again. And I'm
So
in a
is that the
unique
only reason why
position.
you're at HHS? Is that the
Excuse
only
me.
reason why then you're at the HHS to address that one issue?
President Trump has asked me because I'm in a unique position to end that. And that is what I'm doing. And if we don't solve that problem, Senator, all of the other disputes we have about who's paying, and whether it's insurance companies, whether it's providers, whether it's HMOs, whether it's patients or families, all of those are moving deck chairs around on the Titanic. Our ship is sinking. Our 60% increase in Medicaid over the past 4 years is the biggest budget line now, and it's growing faster than any other. And no other nation in the world has what we have here. No other nation has a chronic disease. We have the highest chronic disease burden of any country in the world. We had, during COVID, we had 16% of the COVID deaths in a country. We only have 4.2% of the world's population. We had a higher death count than any country in the world. And when CDC was asked why, they said it's because Americans are the sickest people on earth. The average person who died from COVID, American, had 3.8 chronic diseases. This is an existential threat economically, to our military, to our health, to our sense of well-being. And it is a priority for President Trump. And that's why he asked me to run the agency. And if I'm privileged to be confirmed, that's exactly what I'll do.
Good job. I mean, really, Aaron Rodgers wanted to see him school the senators. That's exactly what he did here. Nothing matters if we don't find a way to end chronic disease and get people healthy. Because if we do that, well, then the price of everything comes down. The problem is Americans are so unhealthy. We're grossly unhealthy. We're grossly overweight. We grossly don't eat properly. We grossly stuff our faces. And we have to make a change. I hope I'm saying present company excluded. I really do. But a lot of people are guilty of this. Look, even I can be guilty of it at sometimes. But I try to take it very seriously, my health, my body, because the older you get, the more you have to take care of it. And if you're going into retirement and you don't want to spend a lot of money, get healthy. You want to burn through retirement income, be unhealthy and have to fund some of your care. He is spot on when it comes to that. Ron Johnson confronted Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
from across the political spectrum. And all these Democrats are opposed to me for partisan issues. They used to be my friends. Agreed with me on all the environmental issues that I've been working on for my whole career. Now they're against me because anything that President Trump does, any decision he makes, has to be lampooned, derided, discredited, marginalized, vilified.
We need to move on.
Well, it is so true. Sometimes I think Democrats just disagree with us, with Bobby Kennedy, just because we're with President Trump, just because we're part of the Make America Great Again movement. As he said, all those people were his friends. Now his own family is speaking out against him because he decided to cross the master. He decided to cross the Democrat establishment, that if you cross them, then they will try to destroy you. Well, it's not working. He's going to be Secretary of Health and Human Services. You watch.
Bobby, this is an answer to my prayers. We need to get to the answers of this, but even more, we need to heal and unify this divided nation. I'm not necessarily the most optimistic guy because we've got enormous challenges facing this nation, but I thought, wow, here's somebody from the left, somebody I don't agree with on many issues politically, coming together with President Trump and focusing on an area of agreement, something that the American people desperately want. Finding out the answers. What has caused autism? What is causing chronic illness? Ms. Kennedy, I think I've come to know what's in your heart. I think I know the personal and political price you've paid for this decision. I want to say publicly, I thank you for that. I truly appreciate what you're doing here. Can't we come together as a nation and do this? Can we do? Aren't you getting tired of this? I'm getting tired of this. So again, Mr. Kennedy, I need to enter in the record. These are just 11 letters of support signed by 63,000 people, thousands of doctors, from the American Association of American Physicians and Surgeons, Independent Medical Alliance, the North Carolina Physicians and Freedom Group, Governor Jeff.
Well, we'd be in trouble if you didn't have support from some people. Of course, that's going to happen. So I don't put a lot of stock in the letters of support you get because everybody can find support. What I put stock in is listening to people talk. Now, he talked about his environmental record. Keep him away from the Department of Energy, as President Trump says. All right? There's things that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. believes that I do not believe in. But he's going to be good for HHS, and Big Pharma is going to be put on notice. Here's old Elizabeth Warren.
His answers are he intends to continue to make money off his anti-vax position. Look, he says he won't go to work for drug companies because the American people have a right to know that the decisions made while he is Secretary of HHS are only for the good of the American people.
Does she really think that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is going to go to work for the drug companies? This man has waged war against the drug companies. Not going to go to work for them. The last thing he wants is them. But you know what's so interesting? What's so interesting is this. This is Bernie Sanders, 1.4 million, 2019-2020. Top 20 members, recipients of money from pharmaceutical and health products. Bernie Sanders, 1.4 million. There's Elizabeth Warren, number 2. Unfortunately, what I found was crossed out, but you're pushing, well over $600,000. All right. So Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, of course, they're mad at him because he wants to rein the pharmaceutical companies in. These are their daddies. This is their gravy train. They don't want you doing that. She has some audacity to say, is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. going to go in bed with the pharmaceutical companies? These people are so dumb. I'll tell you who's not dumb. The leadership over at Patriot Mobile. I love these guys. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT is the number to call them. They do a fabulous job of everything. So you choose what network you want to be on. So you're not going to lose any quality service. You're going to get better customer service. Their customer service is all U.S. based. So if you want a cellular provider that believes in the things that we do, that puts money towards the causes and beliefs that we do, then Patriot Mobile is your guy. It is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. I'm proud they are the official sponsor of Stinchfield's Army Communications. Okay. PatriotMobile.com/Grant. 972-PATRIOT. 972-PATRIOT. Use the promo code GRANT for free activation. And look, you can't even get one phone, 2 lines. It's called a Patriot One plan. You get 2 different networks, so you're always guaranteed to have decent service, whatever city you're traveling to. And you get 2 lines. Business owner, whatever it might be. It's a great benefit as well. PatriotMobile.com /Grant. 972-PATRIOT. Use that promo code GRANT and tell them that I sent you. All right. How about Riley Gaines? You want to hear a quick little comment from her before I let you go? Her husband apparently is from England. He came here the right way on a student visa. He's trying to become an American citizen. He would have voted for President Trump. She did vote for President Trump. He's now apparently at the point where he may get deported because his immigration papers are not in order. So Riley Gaines, the great swimmer who speaks out against trans issues, who is apparently a great conservative, she seems to be, still sides with President Trump that her husband is about to get deported because his immigration papers aren't in line. But you know what's out of line in 2025? He doesn't have a COVID vax. How is this still in the paperwork? How?
Just got another letter from Immigration Services I've made a video about this before, but I'm a U.S. citizen, born and raised in Tennessee, went to college at University of Kentucky, met my husband there. He's an immigrant. He moved over to the U.S. for college on an athletic scholarship from England. We've been married almost 3 years now. We're coming up on 3 years. So you would think he is well on his way to achieving his citizenship, or at least having his green card, right? No, wrong. And why can't he get his green card? Because his medical records aren't complete. And what is missing from his medical record? The COVID vaccine. Like, it is the year 2025, and we are still requiring the COVID vaccine. You can see it right here. It's backwards. Disregard. Complete the COVID-19 vaccine.
Insanity.
But this is what they do. This is what they do to people who do it the right way. I can't even tell you how much money, thousands of dollars, we have spent on the different forms and applications and immigration lawyers and all of the different things, all for everything to expire on their time anyways. And for all you people who say, oh, Riley, your husband's here illegally, he should be deported. Just so you don't understand immigration, he is very much here legally. There are other ways to obtain residency than a green card, like visas or advanced parole. Or those of you who say, this is what you get when you voted for Donald Trump. Obviously, my husband can't vote, but if he could, he would have voted for Donald Trump. Change is coming with the current administration, but he has to undo everything that the former administration has done to our immigration system, both legally and illegally. Oh, and when they campaigned on the tagline, my body, my choice, this is proof they never really meant that.
Yeah. Her husband's got to get a COVID vaccine in 2025 that we know doesn't even work in order to stay in the United States. Ridiculous. So this is what I mean when I say we have a broken immigration system, that it costs a ton of money, a ton of time for good people to stay here in America. This guy obviously married his wife. They went to college together. He's not here using her to game the system. This guy should be able to become an American citizen. He shouldn't need to get a COVID vax to do it. Now, that's the broken immigration system. The only way you fix it is by securing the border and making it really easy for good people to come here. Make it cheaper, make it quicker. Then people won't need to sneak in anymore. But not everybody's as blessed as that guy is, or Riley Gaines is, in order to be able to have the money to pay an attorney, an immigration attorney, and I'm sure an immigration attorney will have to get involved in this. I hope President Trump sees that, though, and let's get that instantly changed over there, that no more do you need a COVID vax in order to stay in the United States. All right, that's going to do it for us. I would imagine we're going to see a lot of updates between now and the Real America's Voice show when it comes to this horrific plane crash. We'll keep you posted on it. I'm very skeptical about the cause. I really am looking at this Black Hawk helicopter and the pilot. That's my main focus right now. So we shall see how it plays out. Don't forget the website, GrantStinchfield.com, GrantStinchfield.com. Please like and subscribe to the podcast. Copy the link, share it on X or wherever else you use social media. Share it, and we'll increase the views, and we'll increase the message, and we'll help President Trump take back America. Thanks to all of you. We are Stinchfield's Army, and I'm grateful for all of you. God bless you. Stinchfield's Army rolls. We'll see you tonight on the Real America's Voice show.